Welcome to Dodgers Daily. I'm Casey Porter. I'm so glad that you decided to tune in. Boy, do we have a whole bunch to talk about today. How about the extra inning game? How about Yency Almonte coming back? How about Caleb Ferguson pitching in high leverage situations? We're going to chew on the michaelgrove start. The offense only scored in 1 run during regulation, then scored the 1 to win in extra innings. The bullpen was fantastic. And, hey, like I said, michaelgrove started, so you won a start from your 5th starter in a game where your offense didn't have to carry the day for you. So that was a big deal, too. And, hey, the big news of the day, Emmetsheehan getting promoted. We're going to talk all about him. I did mention him in our show yesterday, so I'm going to include a little bit more of that in today's show and talk about him a little bit as well. So, hey, a whole bunch to talk to. Also on the farm, Oklahoma City, we were dealing with tornadoes yesterday in the state of Oklahoma, so they did not play. And then Tulsa lost, Great Lakes won, and Rancho, Cucamonga lost as well. So a lot to get to, but before we get into all of it, just a reminder, if you'd like to help Dodgers Daily by donating, scroll down to the description, click the link to the Dodgers Daily GoFundMe account. It'll take you right there to the spot where you go to, where you can help Dodgers Daily by donating. Also, if you like this video and if you like this kind of content, go ahead and click that like button, interact with this video. Keep leaving all of your wonderful comments. Again, I say it every day, but we have the most intelligent, most awesome community here at Dodgers Daily. And hey, every one of you guys, I don't want to start naming out names because I will forget somebody, but all of you guys and gals out there that leave comments every day, you guys are just awesome baseball people. I can't tell you how much I appreciate you, and especially the fact that, hey, we can give our opinions respectfully. We can show up the next day and give our opinions again the next day, and it's just high-level baseball talk. I love it, so keep doing that. Okay, again, the Dodgers, boy, did they ever need that win last night. The offense, like I said, they only scored in 1 inning, but hey, that was a grand slam, dramatic. We're going to talk about that and some of the dramatics that Christaylor has had over the years and a lot more. So let's not waste more time. Let's get right to it and let's talk Dodgers baseball. So the Dodgers win 5-4 in 11 innings. Boy, it was exciting. It looked like the Dodgers were just absolutely dead to water, man. I mean, you had the boos from the crowd, which, by the way, I don't know how you feel about that, but hey, you got a team that's won the NL West this many years. I get it. We're the Los Angeles Dodgers, but I'm just not big on booing your own players. I just don't think that's a real good look, and I don't think it's very effective as far as, hey, the team actually performing better. So I wasn't a big fan of the boos, but hey, the Dodgers move now to 39-30. And we've talked about many different times, hey, last year the Dodgers, they won the division and they had the time off and it didn't help because they lost to the Padres in the first round of the playoffs. But I will say this, the Dodgers now are 22-11 at home, and on the road they actually have a losing record. I'm going to look at that here, 17-19 on the road. So I would say that, hey, maybe the home field advantage for the Dodgers for this year's club might be a bigger deal than clubs in the past. So I think it is important that the Dodgers win the NL West and get as many home games in the playoffs as they possibly can, because the discrepancy this year between the way that they even just pitch at home versus the way they pitch on the road, and certainly the wins and losses, has been significant. So I think the Dodgers need to do everything they can to get as many home games in the playoffs as possible. Of course, you got to make the playoffs first. That's step number 1, but I think we're all pretty confident that that's going to happen. So I think then that moves the discussion to, hey, how can you get as many home games as possible? The D-backs, thank you, Phillies. They have beat the D-backs 3 games in a row, and now the Dodgers are just down 2 games, and now the D-backs have the Guardians. So hey, we talked about this being the part of the season to where the Dodgers could make some hay, and being at home especially. And so maybe you're about like a game back at the end of June, maybe even tied closer than that. You would certainly take that. And then, like we said, the schedules, the Dodgers definitely have the easier schedule going forward. And also, here's another aspect to that. Hey, the Giants have been absolutely on fire. The Dodgers are just 2.5 games ahead of San Francisco right now. The Giants have won 7 out of their last 10 games. And the Diamondbacks, before they lost the 3 games to the Phillies, they had been just super hot. So, hey, I've said a couple of times that the Diamondbacks aren't going anywhere. The Dodgers can't rely on the Diamondbacks just to fall apart, and I will stand by that, to the nth degree. But having said that, I do think they will cool off, and there will be a period. The Dodgers, the Diamondbacks got hot, and so the Giants, right when the Dodgers started not being hot. So there was kind of the perfect storm for the Dodgers to lose their first place, their first place standing. That will flip back around, probably several different times. But I think there will also be a period here, probably in the near future, where the Diamondbacks go on one of those little skids, same with the Giants, and it's at the exact same time that the Dodgers win a whole bunch of games in a row. And if you're only maybe a game back when that happens, like the Dodgers hope to be here before too long, or even tied in the division, that opens up your 4 or 5 game lead in the division. Then you win it from there. And, hey, like I said, iron sharpens iron, and you've had a good season because you've been challenged enough to where you've had to stay sharp all season. The front office, hey, I've talked about it. One of the good parts, the silver linings to the Dodgers not being in first place, I've actually talked about this on multiple podcasts, is that it keeps the Dodgers front office in win now mode, okay? They can't go big picture mode as much as they'd like to. Well, how about promoting Emmetsheehan? We're going to talk about all that. I know Landonknack could have been promoted as well. He just got promoted to AAA. We're going to talk about why the Dodgers and the organization chose Emmetsheehan over Landonknack later on in the show. Okay, as far as last night's game, Michaelgrove, the starter. Here is some of the significance of the Dodgers, the win last night. First of all, you want a game in which your number 5 starter started, your offense didn't play very well, okay, and it didn't carry the day, and then your bullpen came in and was very good. Caleb Ferguson pitched in high leverage situations, and then Yency Almonte got to come back and get the bad taste out of his mouth from Wednesday. So from that perspective, we talk about being even keel. You can't get too high or can't get too low. But within that structure, you do look for, parts of the process that make you feel like you're building. Those were huge parts of the process. Winning a game when your number 5 starter, Michaelgrove, we saw him give up the 4 solo home runs. Winning a game when he pitches and not having to do it with your offense by scoring 10 or 11 runs, by doing it, only scoring 4 runs in regulation, and then Yency Almonte coming back and having a bounce back and showing Caleb Ferguson, showing the world that, hey, he can handle the high leverage situations. There were some games inside the games that were very, very exciting and very encouraging for the Dodgers last night. And so for that perspective, hey, that was a big win. Plus the Dodgers, they needed to win. The Diamondbacks lost, and it was just, the way it happened with the grand slam by CT3. We're going to talk about some of his dramatics as well here in a minute. It was just a really good win. But like I said, can't get too high, can't get too low. But there were parts of it that were very encouraging and very exciting. Okay, Michaelgrove, the way that I would describe his outing last night, not disastrous. I've talked about the formula many different times. Now, he didn't hit the benchmark of 6 innings. I think he could have. I think that Doc put in Shelby Miller because he knew that the Dodgers were going to bring up Emmetsheehan for the Friday start, so he knew he had that buffer. But I do think Michaelgrove could have went out in the 6th inning and strung a 0. His last 2 innings were the 2 best innings maybe he's pitched as a Dodger. He was not only throwing strikes, but he was throwing quality strikes, getting good swing and miss. Okay, so like I said, not disastrous. It kept the team in the game enough to where they were still within striking distance of which they struck. Okay, so just, again, Michaelgrove, there is a lot of good that you see with him. He touched 99 once last night. I do believe I saw that. Okay, but he was 97 on multiple occasions, 98. So the big fastball, the slider is really good. The curveball is a good get-me-over pitch for him. Okay, so you saw all the really good. It's just, I don't know if it's unfortunate for him right now or if it's just way too many mistakes. But, hey, the mistakes that he's making are just, they're glaring right now. I mean, 4 solo home runs, boy, that tested the old theory that solo home runs don't beat you last night. Well, how about giving up 4 of them? And then, he still won the game. So that tested that theory out to be, correct last night in just about the most stressful way you possibly could. So when you look at Michael Grove and you take all the good, okay, you just think, man, if we could just eliminate the 4 or 5 mistakes, he makes a game. Now, you can't, because those are part of it. That's why he gave up the 4 runs. That's why the Dodgers were losing the game when he exited. But you get to thinking, hey, man, that's not an arm. That's not a guy that you just say, hey, go back to AAA oblivion and forget it. We never want to see again. That's not a talent that you do that with. That's a guy that within the structure of still having to win games like the Dodgers did last night, you figure out how to eliminate the mistakes. You capitalize on all the great stuff that he did, and you see if you can't get the best version of Michael Grove eventually at the major league level, because we've seen, the top end of Michael Grove is really, really good at this level. He had 7 strikeouts and just 1 walk last night. But the bad is, his mistakes aren't, I gave up a single up the middle. His mistakes are, I gave up 4 home runs. So, it's just one of those deals to where you're trying to win a division. You're in second place in the division, but yet you're trying to give leeway to a guy that needs some runway to work through some issues that he's having, giving up, home runs. And so it's just it's a stressful dynamic, I assure you, for the front office, for Dave Roberts. That is a stressful dynamic, how to continue to, because like I said, you don't take the 98, the 97, and you don't throw that away when he has the big off-speed stuff. He's a tremendous athlete. He was an awesome football player back in high school. You don't take that and just throw it away, but also you can't just throw him out there and lose games whenever you're trying to win a division, when, like I said earlier, you're that much better at home than you are on the road. So, man, the front office has their work cut out for them ahead of them for how to continue to incorporate Michael Grove into this situation while also putting the team in the best position to win games. My formula is the starter goes 6 innings, gives up no more than four runs. Okay, well, Grove went 5, he gave up 4. That played out last night. If the bullpen does its job, the offense is going to slug enough to win games. You're going to win 75-80% of those games. That proved to be the case last night, although it had not been in the recent past. Okay, let's get to it. Emmetsheehan, why did he get promoted over Knack? I've stated a couple times that Knack probably is the most major league ready pitcher right now, and the reason is he can land 4 pitches for strikes in the strike zone. So why was Emmetsheehan chosen over Knack? It's very simple. I'm going to give you 2 examples: Gavinstone, Bobbymiller. Gavinstone's a guy that relies on location and movement and not velo to get outs. Okay, whereas Bobbymiller has a 99-mile-an-hour sinker where he can overpower even major league hitters, especially when it's giving him a little bit of right turn to it. So when you look at that, which guy had much more success at the major league level, Gavinstone or Bobbymiller? It's not even close, Bobbymiller. Well, which one of the guys between Knack and Emmetsheehan more closely resembles Bobbymiller? That would easily be Emmetsheehan. I have said, even with Bobbymiller's fastball, of course, now that Miller's thrown the 2-seam, I think it's probably neck and neck. But Emmetsheehan, he has that 3/4 slot, so he has that ride and run and a little bit of right turn to his 4-seam. Well, guess what that emulates the closest? That emulates Bobbymiller's 2-seam right turn to that. Sheehan can hit 97, 98. He's hit 99 in the past. Now, that was with his 4-seam. Okay, so he has a pitch, that fastball, that can emulate, that 2-seam that Bobbymiller has been so successful with. Whereas the last time I saw Knack, he was 93. Now, he has reached 96. Okay, so I think they went with the guy that has the most margin for error with his stuff. Emmetsheehan definitely has the most explosive stuff. He has the stuff that's going to give him the largest margin for error because he's going to be able to get swing and miss. As a matter of fact, Emmetsheehan has 88 strikeouts in 53.1 innings this year. So, hey, even if he goes up and he's not perfect to a hitter and say he walks a guy and or a guy gets a hit, okay, he's going to be able to strike guys out, and he's going to be able to have that type of buffer and cushion to his game, to where I don't think, at this point, Knack, he wouldn't have that buffer. He's going to have to be a little bit more perfect. And if you have nerves, if you're nervous, if the strike zone's we talked about this, just yesterday with guys that have to rely on movement and location. Well, if you're a little bit nervous and or if the strike zone's not quite as big, or if the other team's not swinging at pitches that are outside the zone, it's a little tougher on those guys to have success. So I just think they went with Sheehan because he has more margin for error because his fastball is so explosive, and they have visual evidence bringing up pitchers as of late. With Bobbymiller, the guys with the stuff that has more margin for error has worked better than the Gavinstone deal did, where you're relying on movement and location, that type of deal. So I think Knack would be closer to the Stone type of pitcher, and Sheehan would be closer to the Bobbymiller type of pitcher. And with the two scenarios they've seen, not only did Stone struggle at the major league level, he still hasn't recovered. He's still giving up runs at the AAA level. So I don't think they wanted a repeat of that situation. Landonknack, he was injured all last year. He's had a wonderful year this year. Congratulations getting promoted. The last thing they want to do is set him back at this point, because he has made so much progress this year. And hey, you will see Landonknack in the major leagues. Don't worry about that. It's just not going to be today. And so from that perspective, I'm very excited because when you look at the future of this pitching staff, man, all these AA guys are getting closer, and your future, no doubt about it. Save a Gavinstone, your future as far as your pitching goes, especially at the starting level, is at the AA level. And hey, all of those guys, River Ryan, Nick Frasso, Kyle Hurt, all these guys at the AA level, I don't want to leave anybody off, okay, they were given a message loud and clear yesterday. Hey, boys, you're a lot closer to the major leagues than you think. So, hey, that's our show as far as the big Dodgers go, the LA Dodgers. What an exciting game it was last night. Time to transfer now to the minor league system. Again, Oklahoma City rained out. Tulsa lost. Great Lakes won. Rancho lost their game. So let's not waste any more time. Let's get right to it, and let's take a trip down on the farm. There wasn't a whole lot to talk about in the AA Tulsa game last night. They only scored one run and lost 4-1 to the Springfield Cardinals. But hey, who you're seeing right here is Austingauthier, who had a triple last night. That moved his average to 304 at the AA level. Okay, so since he's been promoted to AA Tulsa, he's hitting 304. His OPS with the AA Drillers is 925. Gauthier, no doubt about it, has been one of the best offensive players in the minor leagues. Overall, between two levels, High A Great Lakes and AA Tulsa, he's hitting 348. His OPS is 1019. Again, that's between two levels at High A Great Lakes and AA Tulsa. So, hey, keep raking Gator. The pitching performance of the day for the AA Drillers came from left-handed pitcher out of Georgia, Benharris. He went scoreless again, which makes his seventh scoreless performance of his last 8 and 11 out of 13. Harris is known for a strikeout rate, no doubt about it. He had the highest strikeout rate of any pitcher as far as per innings pitched last year of any pitcher in all of baseball. So he is definitely known for a strikeout rate. Benharris is. Okay, and he has 12 Ks so far this month in June in just 6.1 innings. And, okay, just like last year, he's striking a lot of guys out. He has 37 strikeouts in 21.2 innings so far total on the year. So Benharris, hey, keep striking guys out and keep having those scoreless outings. The Great Lakes Loons scored 2 in the first inning, 1 in the fifth, and that was all they needed to overtake the Wisconsin Timber Rattlers last night 3-2 to move their record to 41-18 on the season. They have already qualified for the postseason as they won the first half Midwest League. In the minor leagues, let me back up and explain this. In the minor leagues, they have two halves because they have so much movement as far as roster movement. So if you win the first half or the second half in your division and or league, then you qualify for the playoffs. So just like last year, the Great Lakes, they won the first half of the Midwest League. They qualified for the playoffs. They did that again this year. So congratulations to the Loons with a wonderful 41-18 record. So basically, the only down part of that is the second half of the season because they've already qualified for the playoffs. They're just basically playing games just to play games because it has no impact on their postseason status at all. But hey, if you're a competitor, you show up, and of course these guys are playing to make the major league. So that's really not an issue because Yeah, hey, winning, you have to learn how to win and all that. And it's funner to be on a winning team than it is a losing team. So all of that is great, but still, these guys have greater goals, and that is, hey, like we're going to see with Emmetsheehan today, to make the major leagues. Okay, Bubba Alene had a hit. Alexfreeland, we're going to talk about him in a minute. Had a couple of hits. And who you're seeing right here is Damonkeith, who had a couple of doubles last night for IA Great Lakes. Keith is hitting .360 so far in June. His OPS is .967, and he has hits in 6 of his last 7 games, and he's 8 for his last 16 with 4 doubles, a home run, 7 RBIs, 15 total bases during that period. So Damonkeith, I've talked about it a couple times. Hey, you can always tell when a guy's playing good because he starts popping up on this show seemingly every day. Damonkeith has been one of those guys, and it's not like, hey, he's just, of course, he did have the hit to right field that just kind of found a right spot. This one right there. But for the most part, man, he is really slugging the baseball. He's hitting the baseball hard. Like I said, he's hitting doubles. He's hitting home runs. He's driving in runs. He's getting a lot of total bases, which I like because that tells you, just the impact you're having on the other team when you have a lot of total bases. So, hey, Damonkeith, keep raking. It's your daily update on shortstop prospect Alexfreeland. You know how high I am on him, and boy, has he been playing well. Another guy that seemingly is on Dodgers Daily every day. Nowadays, he had a couple of hits again last night, a couple of knocks for the Loons. That's his 3rd multi-hit game in the last 4. That would tell you why he's been on Dodgers Daily so much as of late. And he's also 6 for his last 17 with a home run, 3 RBIs, 9 total bases. And how about this? Okay, Alexfreeland, he's raised his average 60 points since May 16th. So in about a month, he's raised his average 60 points, and if he could duplicate that from here on out, he'd hit over 400, right? Of course, that's not going to happen. I just joke, but hey, Alexfreeland, what a talent he is. Switch hitter, so much power. He has that ability. He kind of has that Corey Seager feel to him in the sense that he has the ability to hit some home runs, but then he also, could hit for a good average and then play, a solid defense at shortstop. Very good athlete, though. Alexfreeland's a very, very good athlete, so very high on him. And like I said, he's been on Dodgers Daily quite a bit as of late, and that's always a good thing because that means you're playing very well. Jakevogel, one of the fastest prospects in the organization, not going to sugarcoat it. Hey, the offense just simply hasn't quite come around for him in his career yet, not just this year. But look at that swing right there. Very compact, very short. Nothing can really go wrong with it. So when you evaluate that with his speed and all the tools that he has, hey, you hit the ball up the middle right there. You think, well, you wonder why the average isn't higher than it is. So you just keep putting them out there, and you figure at least at some point with those tools, with that, that easy swing right there, that compact swing, that uncomplicated swing, you figure at some point that offense will come around. You keep throwing them out there, and you keep raising them level after level to get him used to the competition, and let that speed take over one day, because he's a very good outfielder because of that very good speed he has. So, hey, last night it was good to see Jakevogel get 2 hits for Great Lakes, and he has hits in 4 games in a row and 5 out of his last 6. So hopefully it's clicking for Jakevogel. Jermingrosario, if you remember some of the conversations we've had about him, the one thing I always say is, hey, he's up and down, man. He's like a roller coaster. Hey, one game he's liable to go out and throw out basically a no-hitter, and then the next game he's liable not even to get out of the first inning. Well, last night he was on, man. He went 5 innings. He gave up no runs. He struck out 8, and he walked just 1. So, man, he's like a lot of these younger international pitchers. They run pretty hot, hot-tempered, and they get very emotional behind the way they pitch, and they like to ride adrenaline, which is why whenever they're good, it's really good, but whenever it kind of starts falling off sideways, it can fall off sideways pretty hard. So, hey, last night Jermingrosario caught a lot of positive momentum. He rode it to a great performance, and like I always say about him, hey man, when he is on, he is absolutely on. And last night, no doubt about it, he was on top of his game. Jermingrosario, great job, young man. Hey, let's string a whole bunch of these together. Benonyrobles, you can see him right here. He goes up a ways, man. He's a pretty big dude, and he's left-handed. So, kind of like John Rooney, those guys that are big and, they're left-handed, they have good extension. They are going to get opportunity after opportunity after opportunity because those type of guys don't just fall off of trees everywhere. So Robles went scoreless. Last night he recorded his second save of 2023. That was fun to watch. And Robles has gone scoreless in 2 games in a row and 7 of his last 8. So good job, Benonyrobles. I've really learned to become a fan of Jackdreyer this year, the young man out of Iowa who has always fought injury. Man, you talk about a story of resilience. We always talk about minor leagues and it being a grind. You talk about a grinder, that is Jackdreyer. If you can't root for him, you can't root for anybody because he has just continued to grind, continue to just day after day, work his way back into a situation to where he can get back on the mound, and lo and behold, it is paying off for him this season. He threw a scoreless inning for High Great Lakes, and this was his 3rd hold of the season. I guess that's a new stat. I don't know if it's new or not, but hey, you have saves, and you have holds, and you have wins, and all that kind of stuff. So he got his 3rd hold of the season. He had 2 strikeouts of his 3 outs last night, in his 1 inning of work. So good stuff, getting a lot of swing and miss. And now Jackdreyer has 27 strikeouts in 22.2 innings. So another left-hander like Benharris in the system. As a matter of fact, every time I watch him, I keep thinking I'm seeing Benharris. They look very much alike. And look, watch how he drops the ball here. Look how that's very deceptive because he hides that ball. It goes behind his back, and then the hitter doesn't see it until it's already out of his hand. And so that makes it very deceptive, which has really helped him get those 27 strikeouts in 22.2 innings. Dreyer's ERA, 1.99. So not only has he struck a lot of guys out, his ERA also has been very good, and he's gone 9 outings in a row scoreless, and he's gone scoreless in 16 of his last 17. So Jackdreyer, young man, I cannot tell you how much respect I have for you. Keep up the great work. I am, here at Dodgers Daily, and I'm sure all Dodgers fans, we're rooting for you, brother. Rancho scored 3 runs in the first inning, but then they only scored 1 run the rest of the game, and they lost a fairly uneventful 11-4 game last night to the San Jose Giants. Never good to lose to the Giants. Obviously, you're seeing Josue De Paula right here. He had a good night last night. So did Kyle Nevin. De Paula had a hit right here that you're seeing, and then Kyle Nevin had a couple of knocks as well. On the bump, Jared Karros, a little bit of a bumpy night for him. He gave up 5 runs in 5 innings, had just 1 strikeout and 1 walk, but hey, he's had a really good year. ERA of 2.92 on the season. Calvin Ramirez also gave up a couple of runs in his 1 inning, and then David Tiburcio gave up a couple of runs in 1 1/3 innings as well. So at Rancho Cucamonga, they are now 34-26 on the season, still fighting to see if they can make the playoffs for the first half. If not, then they'll have the second half to do it as well. So there you go. Rancho Cucamonga again losing 11-4 to the San Jose Giants. So there you have it. There's our show for you today. I told you it was exciting, man. You got to talk about the walk-off. You got to talk about the emmetsheehan call-up. Hey, Chris Taylor, by the way, I mentioned we were going to talk about his dramatics and his grand slam. This obviously, we remember the home run that he hit in the wild card game against the Cardinals a couple of years ago, which was very dramatic. If you go to my Dodgers Daily website, that's dodgersdaily.net, and or just, do an advanced search on Twitter, you'll find that wasn't maybe even his most exciting walk-off. He also had a walk-off while he was at the University of Virginia. Okay, his Wahoos were down 1 run. There was runners on second and third, and there was 2 outs. So if Chris Taylor gets out, his team's season, the Virginia Ball Club season, is over. Instead, he gets a base hit up the middle. He scores 2 runs, and that hit sent his Virginia club to the College World Series. That was the first that I know of, at least, of some of his exciting moments. And also, hey, Chris Taylor, I love these kind of guys. Alec Gamboa was this way too. A great wrestler growing up. I know he was like City League champion there in Virginia City or Virginia Beach, Virginia. And, he eventually concentrated on baseball as he got a little bit older. But I love those wrestler backgrounds because they have that great balance and super, super mental toughness, because wrestling, just like baseball, it's one-on-one. It's you versus me, and you have to have that competitive element to just want to kick the guy's ass right in front of you. So, hey, I wanted to make sure that you knew about all of Chris Taylor's dramatics. This isn't just a Dodger thing, man. He's been doing all these dramatics for a long time. So, hey, I hope you enjoyed today's show. I also hope that you tune in tomorrow. I hope the Dodgers and Emmetsheehan have an awesome game tonight. And then so I hope you tune in tomorrow. And also just a reminder, if you'd like to help Dodgers Daily by donating, we do now have a GoFundMe account. Just scroll down to the description and click the link to help Dodgers Daily by donating. Also, hey, don't forget to leave a comment and like this video, share this video. Don't forget to tell all your friends, and don't forget to turn on those notifications. As always, I'd like to thank you for tuning in and say, go Dodgers.